Welcome to Created Healthy. I'm Dawn Combs. It's a common idea that God gave us everything we need in nature, but do we believe it enough to walk that out in truth? Often the very same people who say this go looking for answers on how to use food and medicine from man-made sources. Everything man creates comes with a user's manual. Why would God be any different? I challenge you to join me in seeking revelation about our body, mind, soul, and spirit health by digging into His written word and in practicing pure science in the visible world of His creation. Today's reading is all about the Ark of the Covenant. I'm in Samuel 4 through 7, and it starts with a battle between the Israelites and the Philistines. And then, as foretold, this is where Phinehas and Hophni, the sons of Eli, are killed. And the message after this battle, the message comes back to Eli, and he is so overcome. It says actually that he is so large, which makes me assume that he has been overindulging in the best of what Israel has brought to the temple for God, just like his sons. Evidently, there's probably some modeling going on. Do as I say, not as I do. But Eli is waiting and he's anxious because the Israelites knew that they were struggling against the Philistines, and they remembered part of their history. They remembered that the Ark of the Covenant, when it was amongst the Israelites as they were on the move, if they marched into battle with the Ark out in front, then God was giving them the victory. Now, this was because God had already told them, you will do this. I need you to be my agents, but I'm going to go before you, and I'm actually going to wipe out these people. So the Israelites conveniently remember part of their history, and they bring the ark in amongst where they are at Ebenezer. So Eli's really stressed out because he knows that the ark has been moved, but he also knows that his sons have been predicted to die. And they bring back this information, and it says that he is so large and so overwhelmed that he actually falls backwards off of his chair and breaks his neck. Sort of a cautionary tale of overindulging maybe at God's expense and not taking care of yourself. But the first time I read that, it was really shocking that this sort of a story would be there in the Bible. So the talk here is about the ark, and the ark, I don't think we can lose sight of the fact that the ark really is God's physical presence on the earth. It's how he has ordained for himself to be contained. And if we think about God as all of the raw powers of nature and more, thunder and lightning and danger kind of put into a box. This box is dangerous to be around, and it has always been critical as we've gone through the early parts of the Bible. It was always critical that when somebody came into presence of the ark, they had to be pure. They had to have prepared themselves. They had to be walking in God's path as near as is humanly possible, or the ark would destroy him. So the ark is, it's taken by the Philistines, and they recognize, they've heard the stories, they recognize its power, and they think that that's going to be great for them. And they take it back to, where do they take it? They take it back to Ashdod? Yeah, Ashdod. And they put it into the temple of their god, Dagon. And overnight, it's another kind of funny story that as I'm picturing this, they wake up the next morning and the depiction of their god, their statue, has actually fallen onto the threshold and broken off its face and its hands. And they keep standing it up, and every night it falls down in the presence of the Ark of the Covenant. And eventually, this god is nothing but a torso. And I think that this is an interesting thought here where God was showing that these things that you worship may be aspects of my power, but you're not worshiping me, who's actually the origin of these elements in nature. And you're not worshiping me or worshiping something else. And I'm going to show you how powerless they are. In my presence, I will remove their ability to see and talk, removing the face, removing the ability to be recognized, removing the hands, so that there is no way to be functional, no way to do work or do works for the people, and eventually taking all sort of power whatsoever to move about or bring anything into being, because he's just a torso. At the same time, so the Philistines are freaked out by this, and they start moving it city to city to city. And in each city, everybody gets overwhelmed with tumors. And eventually, the last city is like, no, you're not bringing that here. We're not going to be destroyed like everybody else. You better send it back to the Israelites. And there's a whole drama about how they do this. They put it in a cart with oxen and or cows in milk, and they take away their calves, and they sit them on a road, and they all step back, and they kind of magically say, well, if it goes down the road back to Israel, back to all the Israelites, then all of the things that happened to us were from that God. And of course the cows do deliver the ark back at great loss. We've got a huge amount of Israelites who look inside the ark. They don't understand at this point. They've lost all the narrative and all of their history. They look inside and they don't respect the danger of this container. And huge amounts of Israelites die when the cart is delivered. And before the cart goes, the Philistines recognize that they've sort of done something bad. And the story is all about these golden tumors, which just another funny place in the Bible. They decided that they were going to propitiate the Israelite God and the Israelites for taking the ark by making golden representations of the manifestation of the danger that was among them. So the tumors that they were all experiencing, they cast tumors in gold and they sent them along with the cart as an offering. The idea of tumors here, I think, goes back, for me, I think deeper about what the ark means. The ark is God's presence. And today in the New Covenant, we have the ability to commune and speak to our Creator within ourselves. We no longer have a high priest that intercedes. Jesus is the high priest, and he lives among us, and he allows us to directly commune. But in order for God to be in the presence of anything human, he can't be in the presence of sin. He can't be in the presence of anything that is not perfectly his design and operating as he designed, because we see this happen throughout the early Old Testament. People died. They died of diseases. They died of tumors. Things went wrong in their cells because of this presence and this nearness to perfection and the creator of their design. And a tumor is an interesting thing to think about, because when I talk to people about different health issues, the body doesn't do something that isn't along the lines of our design. I think about it like a computer program, because I did computer support for quite a number of years. The computer, when there's an error in a certain system, doesn't do something completely different than what that system was designed to do. It does either what it's designed to do too much, or it does what it's designed to do too little. It kind of follows a predictable path. Tumors are overgrowths. They are creation on hyperdrive. They are tissue being replicated abnormally quickly in one given area. And we see this in cancer, where cancer cells are rapidly dividing and creating more and more and more tissue. We see this with benign tumors as well. But it isn't that something happened that wasn't natural. What was happening was their body doing too much of what God designs the body to do. And I think about illness in light of that, of what is happening when we try to stand before God, when we try to live in, when we go before Him into His creation, or we try to be God in a sinful way, and we aren't respecting the design and the designer. The illnesses that we get that become too much or too little of the design and the system that is already in place. It all speaks of that balance, that we need to go back to the bedrock and do things properly. When somebody's got a digestive disorder, Western medicine wants to put a patch on it and keep going, but true healing is to go back to the beginning and do it as it was designed. Go back and understand, how was this supposed to work, and how can I return it to that health? Being in the presence of God was requiring, I think, of these people to go back to that base. Who is the creator? Who do I need to revere? Who do I need to follow? Who do I need to put in the center? And only doing that is the only way to heal, because then your cells begin to align and God is able to heal and keep you within His original design. The tumors here, well, funny and really interesting to think about. Like, this is how they propitiate, is to create golden tumors and send it along. But the Philistines knew, even if they didn't completely understand, they had their own gods, and they were trying to live a separate existence here from recognizing a one true God. But they saw the power. They saw it. They recognized that there was a connection to their illness and the presence of that power, and the fact that they had done it wrong. And I don't think we can ignore that. It's something to think deeply about when we think about illness and sickness and degenerative diseases that we have today. I pray that God is blessing you today, as in all the other days that we meet. And I hope that He brings you back and to spend time with me, and that you're enjoying reading through the Bible as much as I am. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share with a friend. And I'm always interested in hearing what God is laying on your heart. So drop me a rating or review, or join the conversation on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube at Dawn Combs Really.